Greetings everyone, welcome back to 365 Days of Prog. Today we will be listening to Illusions on a Double Dimple by the band Triumvirat.
Hi, my name's Naomi. I'm an avid progressive rock fan, but I'm a long ways from knowing all the prog albums out there. But this year, I'm gonna give it a try. This is 365 Days of Prog.
So this album is really cool, but before I say anything about it, I think it's time we should listen to some of my favorite bits from the entire album. Now brace yourselves, for there are a lot of those parts, so enjoy this section. So you should know right now that I have a rotten peach soft spot in my heart for just long tracks. Examples for songs like these that I really love: my all-time favorite Atom Heart Mother Suit, Rush's 2112, Genesis's Supper Ready, and of course Jethro Tull's Thick as a Brick. So not only does this album have a long track, it actually has two, and in order to get ourselves acquainted with both of those, I'm going to talk about them separately. So firstly, we're going to talk about side A of the album, which features the title track, Illusions on a Double Dimple. So the first thing you hear on this track is the piano opening. Now it's a great way of introducing the listener into what is to become a huge piece. Yes, it's very gentle, it's melodic. I really like how they started. Of course, they later on moved to synthesizers and drums and bass and everything else, but the way you get into it is pretty cool. I'm not saying that songs that start off rough or intense are bad, I'm just saying that it's a good way to get acquainted with what you're getting into. So I really like how this song is sectioned. You can literally feel the transitions between the sections because they're pretty stark, or at least noticeable. Now, in the past I did not like it when those songs had pretty obvious transition points, but today I kind of really like it, and I love the fact that these songs tend to improve upon themselves and show you new features as they go along by fluctuating themselves between different sections. So there's this one drum beat on this piece which I just completely love, and I just have to let you know what I'm talking about, so I'm gonna play it right now. It's a great drum beat. I've never listened to anything like it. I think it's probably one of the best parts of this song, to say the least. I also love the fact that this song has a lot of recurring motives, so you get to know everything from the start. You get to hear a lot of sounds and a lot of ideas, which later on appear once again in this song, and that really makes this type of nostalgia to the song. When you're listening to a song like this, you get the familiarity of certain sections, which is really nice when they reoccur once again in the song. Now, the singing on this one and on the next track as well really sounds like Peter Gabriel. Now, Peter Gabriel in his beginnings with Genesis, he used to sing half talk, sort of, and he had that really unique voice which was later replaced by Phil Collins, who did his own thing. This band just completely, or at least the soloist, completely nails that Peter Gabriel voice, and I don't think he's even trying to imitate it. It's just who he is. Now, the most surprising thing about this album and about this band is that they're German, and you cannot, for the life of me, I cannot comprehend that, because they sound British as ever. They don't sound nearly as German as any German would be, and I know because I know German. And it just mesmerizes me listening to this track and knowing that they're actually a German band. Now, another thing I have to say about this track, the name of the album and the track is Illusions on a Double Dimple. Now, the song itself, it hints towards the point that a double dimple is an alcohol, so I can only assume that it refers to a double serving of Dimple whiskey. So yeah, it's a great song. I really liked it. I had a ton of fun listening to it. I think there was a bit more to be desired. I think it could have gone a bit extra in some places, but all in all, I really enjoyed it, and it does actually linger in my soft spot for the long songs. So moving on to side B of this album, the choice to do 2 long tracks is just phenomenal, and I really like it. A lot of the albums that do, like, the big suit, the big piece on the album, they usually do it, and it's pretty great. And then you go to the other side, to the side B or side A, depends on where you put the track. And there's just a bunch of those mini tracks, and they're good, but they're not at the same level as the grand piece. So yeah, the idea of putting 2 long pieces on a single album just makes none of them overshadowed by the other. They're both splendid, they're both amazing in their own part. And I just have to say, this song features a lot of 5/4 time meter, I think. And it's a great thing. I really like when bands do that. I just really like it when they don't go to the usual 4/4 that everything is in. I like the fact that it has that one extra beat, and that just adds that oomph to everything, and I really think that's a great musician's choice. And then we arrive at about 3 minutes, and there is a piano solo. And that piano solo is truly marvelous. But from the 3 minutes 40 seconds and onwards, this piano solo actually somewhat strung my heartstrings, and I don't know to explain why, but it just did. It was so emotional. I had such a great time, such a melancholic and also somber time just sitting there listening to it. It was so good. I cannot explain how much I loved it, and I've listened to that section many more times since hearing this album. I think I forgot to mention the name of the second track, so it's called 10% Man, and I'm not really sure what it's about, but that's the name of the song, so yeah. So later on we get introduced to what I think is an alto saxophone, and that's a great sound, very needed, very lovely with everything as it goes, and I think the overall sound that this album gives out is very much like ELP, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. There are a few sections on this album which just sound literally like they've been taken off of a B-side or even an A-side of an album like Trilogy. And as always, if this sounds like ELP, that means that the bandmates are doing a great job at their own instrument, and that's really what it is. Every single band member on this album is doing their best, and it literally shows. Everything sounds so in sync with everything that I think it's just a marvelous piece that they've all put together. So you can probably tell I really like this album, but before I give you my official rating for it, we have to talk about the cover. Now fortunately there's not a lot to say. So the cover itself, it features a mouse hatching out of an egg. Now I think the choice of having a mouse and not a rat is kind of odd, considering the fact that the name of the band is a play on words on the word Triumvirat, which means, like a monarchy or like a triarchy of 3 people. I don't really know how you say that. That's why we have a word for it. And I think the fact that there's a mouse coming out of the egg on the cover and not a rat is kind of odd. All in all, this cover is pretty blank. I don't think it really features anything that you'd expect to see on the album, but who am I to say my favorite album literally has a cow on it. So all in all, this album receives a splendid 9 out of 10 for me. I think it's a great prog album. Just it has everything that I like, from the Genesis sound of the lyrics to the singing, and the ELP sound on the keyboards, and everything else is just so well done, and I think this album totally deserves a 9. It's not a 10 because it's not perfect, and it's really hard to be perfect, and I'm willing to bet there wouldn't be a 10 for a long time in this series. Or maybe there will be, who knows. So that's about it. I hope that you enjoyed this one, so stay tuned for tomorrow, where we'll be listening to The 3 Ages of Magic by Oliver Wakeman, the son of the legendary Rick Wakeman. So that's about it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, guys.